Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Aboy Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sutta Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, Text 23. Eshaha Prapanna Varadaha Ramaya Atmashaktya Yat Yat Kadishyati Grihita Guna Avatara Tasmin Swavikramam Idam Srijataha Api Chetaha Yunjita Karma Shamalam Cha Yata Vijayam Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat yad karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto. Yunjita karma shamalam jayatavajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat yat karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto. Yunjita karma shamalam jayatavajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat yat karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto. Yunjita karma shamalam jayatavajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya.
Yad karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Yat karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Tasmin savikramamidam srijatopi cheto.
Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto.
Jita karma shamalam shayitha vijahyam.
Jita karma shamalam jayatha vijahyam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya.
Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya.
Yad karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Yad karishyati grihita
Gunavatara.
Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto.
Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto.
Yunjita karma shamalam jayatha vijahyam.
Yunjita karma shamalam jayatavajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto. Yunjita karma shalamam jayatavajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto. Yunjita karma shalamam jayatavajayam.
Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya.
Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya.
Yat karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Yat yat karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Tasmin svavikramamidam srijitopi cheto.
Tasmin
Amidam srijatopi cheto.
Yunjita karma shamalam shayatha vijahyam.
Yunjita karma shamalam jayatavajayam. Vaishnavis. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat yat karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto.
Yunjita karma shamalam shayitha vijahyam.
Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yat yat karishyati grihita gunavatara. Tasmin svavikramamidam sujato vijeto. Jita karma shamalam chayata bhajayam. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shaktya. Yati vipita gunavatara. Tasmin svivikramamidam sujato vijeto. Jita karma shamalam chayata vijayam. Eshaha, this. Prapanna, one who is surrendered. Varadaha, benefactor. Ramaya, enjoying always with the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi. Atma Shaktya, with his internal potency. Yat, whatever. Karishyati, he may act. Grihita, accepting. Guna avataraha, incarnation of the mode of goodness. Tasmin, unto him. Swavikramam, with omnipotency. Idam, this cosmic manifestation. Srijataha, creating. Api, in spite of. Chetaha, heart. Yunjita, be engaged. Karma, work. Shamalam, material affection. Cha, also. Yata, as much as. Vijayam, I can give up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, is always the benefactor of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through his internal potency, Rama, or the goddess of fortune. I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of the material world, and I pray that I not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. Purport. In the matter of material creation, maintenance, and destruction, there are three incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. But the Lord's incarnation as Vishnu in his internal potency is the supreme energy for the total activities. Brahma, who is only an assistant in the modes of creation, wanted to remain in his actual position as an instrument of the Lord instead of becoming puffed up by the false prestige of thinking himself the creator. That is the way of becoming dear to the Supreme Lord and receiving his benediction. Foolish men want to take credit for all creations made by them, but intelligent persons know very well that not a blade of grass can move without the will of the Lord. Thus, all the credit for wonderful creations must go to him. By spiritual consciousness only can one be free from the contamination of material affection and receive the benedictions offered by the Lord. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Vaisheshika Dasari Kariti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hey Dina Bandhu Kuranaika Sindhu Guru Prasada Mahimanda Mudhe Laksha Paradi Pahupapa Gadhe Statpada Padmestu Matishta Krishne Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripaham Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Yat Kripaham Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Yat Kripaham Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Esha prapanna vadado ramayatma shakya yad karishyati grihita gunavatara tasmin svavikramamidam srijatopi cheto yunjita karma shamalam jayata vijayam. The Supreme Lord, the Personality Godhead, is always the benefactor of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through his internal potency, Brahma, or the goddess of fortune. I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of the material world, and I pray that I not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. So Srila Prabhupada once said that to help oneself means to put oneself in front of transcendental sound vibration. And we hear that God helps those who helps themselves. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, daily, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, we serve the Bhagavatam by hearing. Our attraction towards the loads of material nature gradually becomes diminished. And hearing is very powerful. In the Vedanta Sutra is stated, Anavriti Shabdat, that simply by hearing one can attain liberation. This particular chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam is amazing because we're hearing the proper mood of dependence upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the Chatur Shloki of the Bhagavatam, Brahma says that a person who is searching for the absolute truth, they should look for it in all places, in all times, and in all circumstances. So Lord Brahma is our Acharya, and if somebody could pull up a verse from the 10th canto, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 31. Scroll down towards the bottom. Keep going. Okay. The Acharya gives the suitable method for crossing the oceans of nescience by accepting the boat of the Lord's lotus feet. And if this method is strictly followed, the followers will ultimately reach the destination by the grace of the Lord. This method is called the Acharya Sampradaya. It is therefore said, Sampradaya viniha ye mantras ti nishpala mata. The Acharya Sampradaya is strictly bona fide. Therefore, one must accept the Acharya Sampradaya. Otherwise, one's endeavor will be futile. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Tandera charane seve bhakti sanevas, janame janame ho ye abhilash. One must worship the lotus feet of the Acharya and live within the society of devotees. Then one's endeavor to cross over nescience will surely be successful. So this is a very important point, that we have to surrender to the Acharya. And I remember being at a university with Parameshwar Prabhu years ago, and he was arguing with this professor. And, a lot of people from Indian culture have so many misconceptions about Vedanta. But Parameshwar Prabhu was very firm in his stance that, this statement from the Padma Purana that you have to accept shiksha, instruction from a bona fide lineage. You can't just get knowledge from anywhere. One has to be a chaste hearer, meaning that their ear is tuned to the instructions of the acharyas. So Lord Brahma is praying to the Lord to not become materially affected. And this word is given in the Sanskrit today, shamalam, And this mirrors a verse that is found in the second canto. If you could pull this up, Navanihoda Prabhu, it's 285. This verse is pretty well known. Sanskrit's beautiful. Pravishta karna randrena swanam bhava saroruham dunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yata sharat. Translation. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. So the process of hearing is always being stressed. And actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of all the different activities of devotional service, he stressed 5, particularly this Panch Angam Bhakti. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that even if you come into contact with any of these processes, even one of them is sufficient to take you back home to Godhead. Even if you don't have faith in them, you can just either read Srimad Bhagavatam, live in a holy place, associate with devotees, chant the holy name, and worship the deity form of the Lord. So these aspects of devotional service are essential for our development of our Krishna consciousness, because we have to become free of our false ego, actually, because one can exist within a spiritual culture to be involved in a spiritual society, but they can misuse that spiritual culture to actually feed their false ego, although the process of Krishna consciousness is meant to help dissolve the false ego, as Lord Kapila Dev instructs his mother Devahuti in the 3rd canto, I believe. So, becoming freed from false ego, and the best way to do this is to always think oneself to be very fallen. Just as, obviously Srila Prabhupada is the most exalted person in the entire universe. His law books are, his books are for the next 10,000 years, the law books for the world. But Srila Prabhupada was always in this mood of, a very prayerful mood, going before the deities, praying to their lordship, saying, please don't let me fall down. Please don't let me fall down into Maya. And so always seeking shelter, because if we feel ourselves fallen, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will feel obliged to actually pick us up. But if we feel ourselves competent, then most certainly we will slip. And this is very nice. There's so many wonderful prayers, actually, by Lord Brahma that are given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. One of them is Jnane prayasya mudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadi avartam stane stita shrutikatam tanavan manobir jay prayaso jita jito apichaistri lokyam. And the acharyas comment on this verse, saying that this word jivanti means actually that jivanti san, you simply just have to stay alive. Stay alive in Krishna consciousness, stay with the devotees, chant your rounds, take prasadam, do whatever you have to do simply just to stay alive. And this is also, similar mood is mirrored in another verse, famous verse by Lord Brahma, where he says, Tatenu kampam susamikshanano bunjana evama kritam vipakam hridvag vapur bir vidadan namaste jivete yo mukti padesa dayabak. That if a person is a son of a very wealthy man, all he has to do is just simply wait. And for us who are, at least myself, very conditioned by the modes of material nature, we will have to undergo various tribulations. But in those tribulations, we have to offer respectful obeisances with our words, with our mind, with our heart. And Hare Krishna Prabhu was making some nice references yesterday in his verse that he spoke on about this word suhrit, that actually Lord Krishna is our most dear friend. And this is a very important point. And this verse is, or this word is kind of strewn throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, this suhrit, Suridan Sarvabhutanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's in many different places. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's in the second chapter, first canto. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto hibadani vidunoti surit satam. That Krishna is actually the benefactor of the devotees, and he will come into the heart of those devotees who properly hear his message, because they are in themselves virtuous. So the mood, we should adopt the mood of Lord Brahma, of having utter dependence upon the original spiritual master, who is Lord Krishna himself. And we should also feel very attached to the manifestation of the spiritual master in the form of our Shiksha and Diksha gurus. And there's so many wonderful relationships that are given within the Shastra, and we can learn a lot from the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. And since we're going to be observing the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev soon, I thought I would just read a couple verses. But one of them I really like is Narada Muni, Prahlad Maharaj thanking Narada Muni for saving him. Evam janamni patitam prabhavahi kupe kama bikanam anuyap prapatang prasangat kritvatmasat sudashina bhagavan grihita soham katam navrasajay tavabritya sevam. And Prahlad Maharaj is taking the humble position, saying that, "Oh my Lord, I was gradually fallen into a blind well full of snakes, but your servant Narada Muni came and he saved me. Therefore I'm indebted to him, so how can I ever leave his service? Please instruct me in his service." So the proper mood of a disciple is to always feel totally inadequate without the Guru Kripa, the mercy and personal touch of the Master. You can pull up the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 9. If anyone isn't touching these verses regularly, I encourage everyone to do so, considering we're coming close to the appearance. 7, 9, 21. Just go to the, 22, Prabhu. This is very nice. My dear Lord, O Supreme Great, you have created this material world of 16 constituents, but you are transcendental to the material qualities. In other words, these material qualities are under your full control, and you are never conquered by them. Therefore, the time element is your representation. My Lord, O Supreme, no one can conquer you. As for me, however, I am being crushed by the wheel of time, and therefore I surrender fully unto you. Now kindly take me under the protection of your lotus feet. Nispijamanam upakarsha prapo prapannam, that this wheel is crushing the living entities, and even if you just stick one little finger out, the wheel is going to catch you and you're going to get pulled in and crushed. Pressed into oil. Go to the next verse, 24. Yeah, 24. Sorry, next one. Or wait, yeah, my dear Lord. Yeah. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment, but I have seen all of these through my activities of my father. When the father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by... sorry, I don't think that was the one I wanted. Go to 24, which is this one. Yeah, sorry. My dear Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. As powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. My dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. Yeah, Britya Parshvam. Let me just exist and let my substance be of the dust of the feet of the devotees, and whatever food scraps that they set aside, I will simply sit on the porch like a dog and just subsist off of those, living off of the mercy of the sadhus. This purport that we're hearing about today, Prabhupada was making this reference to Rama, the goddess of fortune. And the goddess of fortune always sits near the chest of Lord Narayan. And the mood of a husband and wife, the wife is, in Vedic culture, supposed to be a source of auspicious energy for the man. And the man provides protection. He is the provider, and Srila Prabhupada says he takes charge. And the duties of a woman are to, the purifying duties of a woman are to raise children and take very nice care of them so that they also can become devotees. And so, as we ourselves as devotees can either take shelter of the internal energy of the Lord, or we can take shelter of the external energy, which is Durga Devi, who's always poking the living entities with different various sufferings. So it's very important as living beings we are tatashta, meaning we're able to take shelter of either this or that, and according to our how open our ears are to different sounds that are being vibrated within this material creation, this will lead us in a certain direction. The internal potency of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chatur Shloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is actually the order of the Supreme Lord is actually a manifestation of his internal energy. And it is by following that order that one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. So when we follow the instructions of the Guru, when we follow instructions of the Acharyas, that is actually our way to going back home, back to Godhead. And the demigods pray like this to Lord Krishna within the womb in the 10th canto. They say, Twayambu jakshat kila satvadamni samadhi naveshita cheta saike twatpada potena mahatkritena kurvanti govatsa padam bhavabdim. That simply by concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which is the abode of all existence, one follows in the footsteps of the Mahajans, Twatpada Potena Mahatkritena, the work that the Mahats have left behind. And by following in the footsteps of the great souls, the ocean of material existence shrinks down into the size of a calf's hoofprint. Govatsa Padam. One can simply just step right over it. But if we don't take shelter, we won't have any, like a buoy. We'll just try to swim across the ocean by ourselves and definitely drown, even by the time you get like a little ways across. But if you have this, the lotus feet of the Lord, which are compared to a boat, we can certainly, his feet are worthy of taking shelter of. And in order for us to become free of false prestige, like Lord Brahma is praying, we have to be very cautious of entitlement. And I remember first coming around devotees, and you think everyone is a pure devotee, and you're offering respects to everybody. Oh, Prabhu, even if they're, anyways, it's important that we maintain the spirit of reverence. And Chandanacharya Prabhu made this point in his class, that actually we should see every devotee as being better than ourselves. And, because the lower we put ourselves, actually, the more we feel that we'll get Krishna's mercy, which is actually the most desirable object is to attain Krishna's favor. And Krishna will be pleased if we render selfless service to his family, which Chandanacharya Prabhu was making this nice point also, that Maharaj was expressing. He doesn't want some business transaction. He wants a family that takes care of each other, and when certain areas of the family are needing attention, then, the family helps, like that. And actually, Prahlad Maharaj actually has a similar prayer. I don't know where it's found exactly, but he says that, I'm not Avanik. I'm not just some merchant. I'm just here to serve you, my Lord. And, we're hearing these prayers in the morning every day that, Nrsimhadev comes, and Prahlad Maharaj says, well, I don't want anything. But Nrsimhadev says, no, I am Bhagavan. Bhagavan means I must give, you must take. And he says, okay, my Lord, well, if you want to give me anything, then please remove all the material desires from the core of my heart. Because even Prahlad Maharaj was so surprised because says, Lakshmi, she didn't even recognize you. You're her husband. And she was like, I don't know who this guy is. And even Lord Brahma, Brahma didn't even get the mercy actually, but Lord Nrsimhadev touched his lotus hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, and he said he was so pleased with him. And all these demigods were there, and Prahlad Maharaj was saying, I don't even really know Sanskrit that well. How am I going to pacify him? How am I going to pacify the Lord who's so angry? But Prahlad Maharaj, just being this little simple, humble boy, was able to be protected by the Lord in all circumstances simply because of Vishnu Smaranam. And we should always be endeavoring to become more humble and determined in Krishna consciousness, because when we think that we're finished with our devotional service or, with our, if we think we're finished, then actually that's when we're finished. Because we're either progressing and we're making advancement, or we're becoming stagnant and letting a lot of the weeds grow. And I was thinking about this the other day, that actually, if we chant good rounds, it's almost like we're asking for some trouble. Like Rupa Goswami has this prayer saying that, don't you dare go down to the Yamuna and see this boy playing the flute. If you want to see your family, if you want to be attached to this material world, then, don't you go down to see this little Krishna playing his flute on the bank of the river Yamuna. And I was thinking that, if we actually make the endeavor to chant attentive rounds, Krishna's going to come in there and remove all that dirty stuff from the heart. But like Ali Krishna Prabhu was making this point yesterday, that, we can just chant our rounds in a nonchalant way and not have like a sense of urgency. We can just say, well, I made a vow, I made a promise, so I'll just do this as my duty, but, I'm not going to see that this is actually the rope, that was given to me by the spiritual master to pull me out of the ocean of material existence. Etam sa ashtaya paratmanishtam adyashitam purvatamar maharshabhihi aham tadishami durantaparam tamomukundangri nishevayaiva. I shall cross over this ocean of material nations by being fixed in the service of Lord Krishna. I shall cross over this ocean of nations by being fixed in the service of Lord Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, the Paramatma, the Personality Godhead. This is a prayer that Srila Prabhupada expanded on when his sannyas guru had departed from this world. It's a prayer asking for nishta, Paramatma nishta, to be fixed in one's service. And like I was mentioning, becoming attached to our chanting is very important. And Rupa Goswami makes a really wonderful point in his Namashtakam. There's 8 stanzas glorifying the holy name. And in one of the stanzas, he makes this point, tattva andanam, that even those who are actually blind to the truth, if they even come in contact with the holy name, they are given, they feel attracted to following the path of bhakti, bhakti pranayanam. And the process of devotional service is so powerful that I've had different experiences where, we may not even we may feel a little hopeless actually, but Krishna will reveal himself to us in certain ways as long as we are sincere. And the promise is actually given because Krishna says himself that, well, actually, no, Krishna makes a demand. He says, you tell them, Arjuna, because if I say it, they're not going to believe it. He says that, declare it boldly, O Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. So we have to have even a little bit of faith, and Krishna will definitely perform miracles in our lives. And we should basically understand that, our life is like a series of comebacks. We're always going to make mistakes, and we're always going to have errors. And I think Mahatma Gandhi said something like, to err is human, something like that. So, yeah, we'll always be forced to face our lower selves, but Bhagavad Gita says that we should conquer the lower self with the higher self. And this can be done if we just practice in a very regulated way. And even if we make heavy errors or big mistakes in our practice of Krishna consciousness, the Bhagavatam gives many wonderful ways to reform ourselves. Swapada mulam bhajataf priyasya taktanya bhavasya hare pareshaha vikarma yachchot patitam katanchid dunoti sarvam hridisannivishtaha. That even if a devotee somehow or other ends up committing vikarma, very heavy sinful activity, Krishna says that swapada mulam bhajataf priyasya taktanya bhavasya, that taktanya, because he's actually given up all other engagements in this world, he may be prone to act according to his previous habits. But Krishna says, it is my duty to protect that devotee. So we will actually, I myself am observing that I'm always committing so many mistakes, but we can always take shelter of Krishna's system, because we as devotees actually have the keys to Krishna's system. And now we are trying to turn the key to that property, you could say. And I think this has been on a lot of our minds, the gradual establishment of the Daivi Varnashrama Dharma system. And I read a really amazing quote actually from Mother Palini, and she was quoting some author, and I wrote it down. It was saying here, that religion which marries the spirit of today will be a widow tomorrow. So if we adopt ourselves to the worldly ideas, the worldly conception, and even exist within a religion, eventually, we'll become a widow actually, because we're not staying true to the spiritual principles. And we can see how we're having realization of that even within our devotional society, that even though we have access to the highest philosophy, and we have Krishna's holy name, we have prasadam, we have so many privileges laid out before us, but because we're so much influenced by this asura varnashram, that it's almost like we're going upstream. But what's very nice is to be around devotees like His Holiness Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. Just being near such a devotee, you feel and can sense that Maharaj is so polished. And I always feel myself so dirty when I'm near Maharaj, because, here's such a great soul, and who am I, But it's wonderful because it's totally possible to get Srila Prabhupada's mercy and Maharaj is like a manifestation, like total embodiment of humility and surrender to the Guru Parampara. And Maharaj made some statement that, in the temple, we can put Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasan in the center of the temple, and we can run around Prabhupada and sing and dance. But Maharaj was saying, this is nice, but actually we should make the instructions of the spiritual master one with our hearts. And this is actually the mood of Maharaj. He made a very profound statement, actually. It was one of the first days Maharaj was here. They were reading out the book scores, and the devotees did huge. The brahmacharis did huge. And I think they did like 100 Bhagavatam sets in just a couple of days. And they read out the scores. And Maharaj said, "Oh, I'm very glad they didn't come to greet me. I'm very glad they didn't come to greet me." This is the proper way to please the spiritual master, by executing their order. And because the mood of the spiritual master is that they want their spiritual master glories to be spread all over the world. And this is Maharaj's mood. And I was thinking about like Arjuna when he was defeated by just some simple cowherd boys because Lord Krishna had left. And I was feeling like, wow, like I feel so grateful, like Maharaj is here. And he's like the captain of the ship, because if, like Lord Krishna were to leave, we would just become defeated, by some simple villagers or something like that. But because Maharaj is actually, he's the captain, and we're able to cross over these uncharted waters of establishing Varnashram Dharma. But the mood of Arjuna actually is very interesting, because in that section, he simply remembers Krishna's instructions that are in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what will be tested to do at the time of separation. And we can see how for so many decades devotees have tried to establish this very essential order that Srila Prabhupada gave, which is to establish Daivi Varnashram farm communities for the betterment of his society. And I heard a story recently about Srila Prabhupada visiting New Vrindavan in the early days, which was one of the greatest schemes that Prabhupada had come up with, and there was so many devotees living there, actually. And this was the first implement of cow protection within ISKCON, was at New Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada was given milk from the cow there named Kaliya, which was the first cow within ISKCON. And Prabhupada said, "This was the best milk I've had in 50 years. They would bring Prabhupada milk, and I think they would even make ice cream for Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was there during the time when they had a plow department, and he was walking to go see all the devotees, and they were all wearing pretty tattered clothes, and even for a while they didn't really have proper footwear. But finally the devotees had gotten some boots, and they were all really proud. But there was like a group of them walking, and they were just really filthy. And Prabhupada looked at them and smiled, and he says, these devotees, they don't live very opulent lives, but they're jolly. And this is actually what's stated in the Bhagavatam, because it says that human society will prosper when the cows are jolly, and taking care of the cows it provides everything essential for human life. And it's actually pitiable, the way that we're forced to conduct our lives, because we're cut off from the very essential relationship. And I was thinking also that, like, in Vedic culture, divorce isn't a thing, and it just doesn't exist. And I was meditating that actually a culture without cow protection is just is void. So it's a society that's devoid of Brahminical culture and cow protection isn't even a society at all. And anyways, you can't see the photo right now, but I mean, all of you are taking daily darshan of the deities here, but I've had a complaint lately that when I take darshan of Krishna and Balaram, you can see that there are murtis of cows next to them, but in the photo, the heads are cut off. You can't see the face of the cow. So I was thinking, like, man, we as a society have just been, like, totally cut off from, like, anything about cows, and it's just like, it's really sad that we don't have the opportunity to experience that. Very, very essential relationship. And the cow has two genders. There's the mother cow and the father bull. And even we have some connection with the mother, but the mother is being totally exploited. These dairy farms where the mothers give birth to their children, and then the children are stripped away from them immediately. And sure, we can take milk from these places, but the mother is there in our lives, but the mother is just like an exploited figure. And then, who the hell is the father? The father is supposed to be the bull who plows the field and, grows grains, which are essential for human life. But the father for us is some tractor, and the tractor is, with every turn of the wheel of the tractor, it's depleting the earth. But with every step of the hoof of the cow and the bull, they're actually nourishing the surface of the earth with their stool and their urine. So, the relationship that we have with our Father, that relationship is doesn't even exist. Our Father is some big, big machine. So the establishment of these farm communities can't be stressed enough, because Kunti Maharani makes this prayer in the first canto, and Prabhupada says in the purport that actually Lord Krishna is never pleased where these two things are lacking: cow protection and Brahminical culture. And the order has been given now, so we have to follow and be willing to live a happy and simple life versus a polluted and confused life, being subjected to all the different poisons in Kali Yuga and whatnot. But anyways, I just tried to touch on a couple of points, and if we'd like to have any questions or discussion, we can open it up. Oh yeah, that's good. Ali Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Just a quick comment. I heard a class recently by Maharaj, and he was saying that he asked the audience, what's the center of Vrindavan? And, you expect Krishna, but he said, no, it's a trick question. It's the cows, because everyone's focused on Krishna, but Krishna is focused on the cows. So actually the cows are the most important, or the center of Vrindavan, he said in that context.
So nice. Yeah, we pray like that in the morning, right? Eni Vedana Dado Sakir Dano Gata Koro. What is that stanza? It says that, please make me a follower of the cowherd damsels of Braj. And what are the cowherd damsels of Braj doing? They're milking the cows, singing songs about Krishna. We're praying to follow them, but, I guess we just have to take little steps. Have any Hoda Prabhu?
Yeah, a comment and a question. I was reading that the cow is actually in the mood of neutrality, the rasa of neutrality, but yet Krishna, gives it so much importance. And sahajas are like, oh, I want to be a gopi and all this other stuff. They won't ever say I want to be a cow. But yet Krishna puts the cow in the center of, Vedic culture, even though it's in that mood of neutrality. I thought that was interesting. But a question, you were mentioning the 5 processes that Lord Chaitanya said we can attain perfection by in Kali Yuga. Mm-hmm. And I was curious, how do you juxtapose that with, in the 7th canto, when it talks about the 9 processes of devotional service, Prabhupada says by any one of these you can attain perfection. So why, remembering or cultivating friendship, why aren't those included in, when Lord Chaitanya says there's 5 specifically, why aren't there other ones included in that?
I would say that they're synonymous, because one of the 5 aspects given is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 9 processes are also there, and they're kind of interwoven, Shravadam is right there, hearing. So they're
remembering is not one of them, but Prahlad Maharaj can attain perfection by remembering. But I guess Lord Chaitanya, is it that I guess in Kali Yuga, it's like we're not like intelligent enough to just remember Krishna all day. So it's not actually recommended to just try to remember. That's kind of what I was thinking, but I don't know if you want to speak on that.
Oh yeah, Vishnu Smaranam, remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other 5 is to chant the holy name, so we remember Krishna just by chanting our rounds, Yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, we're not qualified just to remember Krishna all the time, so that's why the acharyas give us these different means and methods, like doing book distribution, prasadam distribution, college preaching, all these different, areas for us to work hard for the Lord, right? Prabhupada makes that statement in the 10th canto, saying that, real samadhi is just to distribute Krishna books all day. But one should perform manual labor, right? Kriyasu yach twach charanadavindayoho. Yeah, we should be prepared to strap on our boots.
Yeah, and Kali Guru and I, he's not here. We were talking about this over Prasadam yesterday, but Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that American culture is like capitalist. The capitalist society is like more or less a society of Vaishyas, even though mainly people were Sudras. But like you could say at the time, most people in America are like Vaishyas, right? But then he was saying like in communist countries, they're mainly trying to make everybody Sudras. And then Prabhupada is making the point that, us Vaishyas like more or less and more like passion and ignorance, Sudras is straight up in ignorance. And he was saying as Kali Yuga progresses, the Sudra mentality will also progress. And he says that communism will defeat capitalism. And I thought that was pretty interesting because he was saying like, pretty much this communist mentality of everybody just being Sudra and, it's even might even pervade into the American culture because without an understanding of proper Varnashram Dharma, then everything just degrades. So, we were talking about that yesterday. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. And the duties of the Vaishyas given in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, exactly.
Farming, cow protection, trade. But now Vaishyas are just all concerned about making money. Stomping on the heads of cows to make money.
Yeah, it's like a perverted duty right now. It's like they're not really performing the proper duties of a Vaishya. It's like a demonic Vaishya. It's not really, like you said, the true sense of what a Vaishya is.
Mm-hmm.
The true sense of Vaishya is to actually just protect cows and do agriculture work.
Being a Shudra is also glorious, though, if it's done properly. Any other comments or questions? Anything from the women? Yes.
You were making this point about how we should see ourselves lower than other devotees around us, and I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on like what that looks like.
Yeah, this is the spirit of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya says that Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavambuddho Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadvisham Vichintaya. The Stita Duli means to place oneself at the dust. Stita means to situate. Duli is dust, foot dust. And Lord Chaitanya is praying like that. Oh my Lord, I'm so fallen. So please pick me up and place me at my eternal constitutional position as your servant. But I was thinking actually that if we don't feel ourselves fallen, if we feel ourselves qualified, then there's no way for us to get mercy. But I think it's a matter of humility because even Haridas Thakur, the Namacharya, he would offer obeisances very, very far away from the group of devotees. So, Yeah, developing the mood of being a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, a million times removed, as Prabhupada says, is desirable. But as Prabhupada also says, in the light of the Bhagavat, that going back home, back to Godhead is not a cheap thing. So it can't be done in an artificial way. It has to be in a mood of actual, the service attitude has to be there. Because if we just, bow down to devotees, in a physical way, the proper mood, it's important that the mood is proper. That's the Mahavakya of the nectar of instruction, right? That the attitude of the follower is determined by their certain service attitude. So, I think Kalki Prabhu shared something with me the other night. He was saying how actually, if we serve Krishna, then we'll actually never be a loser or something like that. So although, putting ourselves in a lower position, it seems like, like this isn't a good thing, I want to have some recognition or some respect, but actually that's the assured way of gaining Krishna's mercy, is to, place our heads at the feet of the devotees. Just have to practice. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pancha Kalpatarusya Kripa Sindhu Vishnu Namo Namaha.